Today, let us discuss on the display methods in ethnographic museum. As introduction, let us see how or what is an ethnographic museum. A museum is an institution that cares for storing and exhibiting for public viewing artifacts and other objects of scientific, cultural, and historical importance. The ethnographic museum in the West has a long history, and the display of living exotic people in traveling exhibitions began as early as the 16th century. The growth of the ethnographical museum is inseparable from the emergence of the discipline of anthropology. It was the effort of anthropologists in the field to record their findings in material form that fed the storerooms of the new museum, which began to flourish in the later 19th century. And later on, academic ethnographic museum was developed. Today, it becomes the institution of learning for various cultures in the world. Soviet cultural anthropology museums provide striking evidence of the principle of cultural relativity. Considerable attention is devoted to present both the old ways of life and the emergence of the everyday life of new socialist society. Now let us again see to our topic, that is the display. Display is an important and difficult task in museum. Ethnographic museums have been arranging to categorize artifacts and define gallery titles with individual labels since the later 19th century. The same applies to the selection of the objects and the systems used to order them. Many of the 19th century ethnological museums arranged their exhibits to demonstrate the contemporary primitive peoples were not in fact really contemporary, but instead a remnant of older ways of being. An extreme articulation of this concept was AISLF Pitt Rivers Private Museum in Farnham. It positions objects along evolutionary line from primitive to modern, irrespective of their actual date or any other context. The culture and the technology of Australian Aborigines, for instance, stand as predecessors in evolutionary exhibition. The exhibits of the Museum of Anthropology and Ethnography, which are structured on historical geographical principles, reflect an interdisciplinary approach in their presentation. Various open-air museum preserves have been established, notably the Ethnographic Museum of Latvian SSR, the Estonian Museum Park of National Architecture and Culture, the Historical and Ethnographic Museum of the Lithuanian SSR, etc. In Manipur, India, an ethnographic-based museum known as Anthro Cultural Complex. Specimens are exhibited in traditional houses of different ethnic groups of the region, along with the items of culture complex in open space. Then inside a museum, specimens are displayed with certain methods. Some of the methods of display are discussed here for practical part. For this, let us take up some specimens and illustrate how this display would be done. The specimens would be hunting spear, ta of the Meitei, the threshing implement, korla of Mao, dao, tangzhou of Meitei, sickle, tangol of the Meitei, sword and the seal, tangsang and chungoi of the Meitei, then boomerang of Australian aborigine, carrying basket known as sung of the Tangkhul, carrying basket piruk of the Meitei, then pondum, a sal of the Purum, ponrite, a cloth of the Mar, dakhada kitna, a sal of the Tangkhul, Mar arm, a shal of the Mar. Simple toda glove, and then sairong, the threshing implement of the Meitei. Now let us see how these specimens should be displayed in the museum. And first let us see how these specimens should be displayed based on the composition of the material. For the display of the specimens based on the composition of the materials, let us see, these are, suppose, this is a showcase. Our display will be based on the composition of materials. The specimen should be displayed, and this showcase, it is wood and iron, suppose, and then this is can and a bamboo, this boomerang is made of wood only, so let us put here. And then this is my arm, and it is a shawl, so it should be put in the fabrics showcase. It is also of the fabrics, so it is also the shawl of the Tangkhul is also put here. Based on the composition of the materials, we can arrange or display the specimens in this way. And in this showcase, all the wood and the iron specimens are put. So sword and seal of the Meiteis, sickle or dao and dao of the Meiteis are put in this showcase. Carrying basket of the Tangkhul known as sung and the carrying basket of the Meiteis known as piruk are displayed. And here, the specimens made of the wood are displayed. It may consist of the simple toda glove, then krodo, the threshing implement of the Mao, then boomerang of the Australian aborigine, then sairong, that is the threshing implement or the flail of the Meiteis. And under the showcase, the fabric specimens are displayed. This may consist of the mar arm, dakhada kitna, pon rite, mar pon, pondum of the purum, etc. Secondly, we can display the specimens based on the evolutionary order. evolution of mankind, evolution of culture may be the basis for this type of the display. Such kind of the display requires a wide collection. So, for example, the arrangement of the specimens exhibiting evolution of the plow from simple digging stick. It can be grouped under the display method of the specimens based on evolutionary line. Another type of the display is the display in order of the ethnic group. Display in order of the ethnic group means the arrangement of the specimens according to the order of the ethnic group or the people. Say, for instance, from a large number of the spears collected, the spears of each people should be separated and arranged one after another so as to give a comparative understanding of the specimen. So, for example, in this display, we can put the carrying baskets of the Piruks and the carrying basket known as the Sung of the Tangkhul, so that we can know the different types of the carrying baskets of different people. In this type or in this method of the display, we can put here carrying baskets. These are the carrying baskets of the hill people and the plain people of the Meiteis. These are the threshing implements used by different people. Sairong is a threshing implement of the Meiteis, whereas Krodo is the threshing implement of the Mao people. So, from these showcases, we can make a comparison of the specimens used by different people. So, this is one kind of the method of display in the museum. Then, let us again see another method of the display. This is the display in order of the geo-ethnic arrangement. When the specimens of a particular geographical area are exhibited separately, then it is called the arrangement in geo-ethnic sequence. It is also known as culture area concept. Let us see how can we display specimens in this type of the or in this method of display. The showcase number 1 is the specimens collected from Manipur region. For example, from Manipur region, and under this Manipur regions, deep specimens of different people or different ethnic groups can be put here. For example, these are of the Meiteis, and then this is of the Mar. This is also from another hill tribe of Manipur. This one sort, Sil, Sikal, Dao, Piruk, Sairong, these are from the Meitei. All these specimens belong to Manipur region. So, all these specimens should be put in the showcase entitled Manipur region. And here, this is only one specimen in our demonstration, but it is from South India, from the Nilgiri foothill used by the Toda people. So simple Toda club should be put here. And boomerang is used by the Australian Aborigine. So under the region of the Australia, we can arrange in this way. Then let us take up another method of display. And this display method is known as holistic method. In this method, the whole material culture of a particular tribe or people is exhibited in separate showcases. This will give a high comprehensive idea about a particular people. This is another showcase for the Mar. One showcase, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 showcases will be required for displaying specimen in this method. One is for the Meitei people. Number 1 is of the Mar. Then number 2 is of the Meitei. Number 3 is from the Porum. Number 4 is from the Tangkhul. 5 is for the Mao people. And 6 is the Toda people. And 7 belongs to the showcase of the Australian Aborigine. So in this way, we can use different methods of display in an ethnographic museum. Then another method is, it is according to the functional aspects. In this method of display, the utilities of the specimens are taken into consideration for display in the museum. According to the function or the utility, such as hunting, fishing, musical instruments, dress, etc., the specimens are considered and displayed in separate showcases. Let us see. Hunting. Then another showcase entitled Agriculture. This smartphone should be, because of its nature of the function, it should be put on the dress. In these 3 showcases, we have to display or exhibit such specimens. Because of the utility boomerang of the utility of the boomerang as a hunting implement, it should be put in the hunting showcase. And simple Toda club also belong to this showcase. Likewise, Dao or Tangzhou, Tangol, threshing implement Zairong or threshing implement Krodo, these are all the agriculture implements, and so these specimens should be put in the showcase of the agriculture. In this way, we can display specimens in different showcases. Labeling is one of the most effective ways of transmitting information in museum. Labeling of the exhibits display in the gallery and those kept in the store is an important task. There are basically 2 types of the label, such as individual label, and another is general label. Say for example, in this, if all the specimens are put under the general title dress, then it should be called general labeling, or separate labelings are done, then it should be called the individual labeling. The individual labels should be related to the single specimen, whereas general or the title label in the gallery should be related to the explanation of the whole group of exhibits under one heading. The labels may be handwritten ones or printed labels or typewritten. In India, printed labels are usually used, but ideally, handwritten labels are the most ideal type. The Royal Museum of Scotland or the Berlin Museum's South Seas Gallery uses labels containing the tribe, material, and approximate date, the donor's name, etc. The Hornian Museum in London, in its African Worlds Gallery, uses label by including descriptions of the artifacts. The labels include a short text by one of the makers or users of the object, both personal and ethnographic. First in the relevant African language and then in English translation. Name and photo of the describer of the objects are also placed for the viewers. Finally, the compiler of the label is named as well. Following the concept of the postmodernism, some ethnographic museums have taken up a reflexive translation strategy. So, Hornian Museum makes an attempt at precisely, it takes a familiar framework, explainer and explainer, reallocates the roles. The display puts existing presentational resources into the service of a new set of interests, addressing itself to African diasporas in Britain and the indigenous population alike. There is a degree of self-ethnography here. The display in an ethnographic museum is a hard task to rely the interest and academic importance of the specimens of various cultural heritages. Standard methods of display are practiced in different museums. The ethnographic museum develops as an effort of the anthropologists. So, the method of display in ethnographic museum is also related to the theoretical concepts of the subject. Evolutionary and geo-ethnic methods are therefore some of the important methods. An important point notable here is that anthropology also studies postmodern concepts, and so the display methods in ethnographic museum have the reflection of this theoretical concept.